Things were looking bleak for the Atlanta Hawks. Boston just beat the brakes off of Atlanta for 2 straight games, winning by an average point margin of 13 points, while it just didn't look like the Hawks had any juice in them. A big reason why that is Trae Young. Over Trae's last 8 playoff games, dating from Game 6 against Milwaukee in the 2021 Eastern Conference Finals until their Game 2 loss this past Tuesday, Trae Young has been averaging 16.4 points per game, 6.6 assists, 5.8 turnovers, with horrid shooting, 31.7% from the field, 17.5% from 3, and 77.4% from the free throw line. As we all know, Trae Young is the engine that makes this Atlanta offense tick. If he plays bad, it's going to be bad for the team. Over those 8 games, the Hawks only won 1 of them. That was Game 3 against Miami last postseason. But last night, things changed for Trae Young. Trae came up big time in his first game back in Atlanta, scoring 32 points, shooting well from the floor, 12 for 22 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the stripe. He also notched 9 assists, grabbed 6 boards, and miraculously blocked 2 shots. Trae had never blocked a shot in his entire playoff career, and last night he managed to block 2 of them. Trae was electric last night and reminded all of us why he has been heralded as one of the better young point guards in this league. Heading into this playoff series, I thought the Hawks really had a chance to steal a game or 2, just because the Celtics had played with just such malaise all season long. The Celtics started out of the gate hot with a 21-5 record in the first 26 games, but in their last 56 games of the season, they had only a 36-20 record, which is not bad by any means, but is certainly not the Boston Celtics standard that they've held themselves to the last couple years. Trae Young is one of only a handful of players that can manipulate the defense at will whenever he feels like it, but I feel like he got away from that a little bit this season. Let's take a look at the game last night and see how he's able to do that against the Boston Celtics. Trae collapses the defense and then does a great job of keeping his dribble alive, drawing attention to himself, giving Sadiq the chance to relocate for the easy 3. This is Trae at his best. He keeps his dribble alive in the pick and roll and then looks off Marcus Smart thinking he's making the swing pass, but then dumps it off to Hunter for the easy finish. Trae has a penchant for throwing lobs out of the pick and roll. Al Horford knows this and Trae uses this to his advantage. Horford makes the wrong choice and this allows a shot for Trae Young. This is a very simple pick and roll read by Trae. He comes off the screen and sees Horford is dropped at the free throw line. If Trae ever has that much space, best believe he's pulling that 3. I like when Trae gets downhill against the opposing big man. I think that's when he's at his best offensively, as he offers a dual threat to score or pass. Even with Atlanta's lackluster and forgetful regular season, I thought Atlanta had a shot going into this series simply because of Trae Young's offensive ability, and really the entire roster has just such a high offensive ceiling. Their offense as a whole was really good this year, clocked in at 7th in the league with an offensive rating of 116.6, but their defense was really bad with a defensive rating of 116.3. The Atlanta Hawks were the exact definition of average this year, finishing with a regular season record of 41-41. They never won more than 5 games in a row this year, and they never lost more than 4 games in a row this year. It's actually pretty comical if you look at their game schedule from the season. They lost a few, won a few, lost a few, won a few, so on and so forth. Their net rating was plus 0.3, which ranked 18th in the league this season. Almost average on the nail. The Hawks attempted to alleviate some of the offensive responsibility for Trae Young by making a blockbuster trade this past summer and the acquisition of DeJounte Murray. I had my doubts when the trade went down last summer, and I still have my doubts about this trade. On June 30th of last summer, DeJounte Murray was dealt to the Atlanta Hawks for a package featuring Danilo Gallinari, a 2023 protected first from Charlotte, a 2025 and 2027 unprotected first, along with a 2026 first-round pick swap. The problem with this trade is that both Trae's and DeJounte's entire playing history in the NBA features them having the ball in their hands. In my opinion, when you see that, when you have 2 play styles like that, it's a red flag when it comes to fit on the court together. Not only that, but it didn't really seem like DeJounte had the skills to be a great player off the ball, and in my opinion, he really hasn't. He shoots just 33.5% from 3 for his career. That number alone just indicates that he's going to struggle off the ball, and this year was no different really, as he shot 34.4% from 3 this season. DeJounte shot really well from 3 in Game 2, shooting 7 of 13, but in the other 2 games, he's a combined 2 for 12. Overall, he's shooting 9 for 25 from 3 in the series. When you look at Trae Young, he's really not that much different in this department. Trae is a very capable 3-point shooter, but not very efficient. He really doesn't move without the ball. He shoots just 35% from 3 for his career, and this year he shot 33.5%, which is his worst shooting season since his rookie year. Prior to DeJounte's acquisition, only 29.9% of Trae Young's threes were assisted, which means 70% of his makes are coming off of his own creation. Just in the numbers alone, you can see how much he has the ball in his hands, and rightfully so. Trae and DeJounte certainly could figure it out if they improve this summer. I mean, they both could become better cutters, they both can move off the ball better, both become better shooters. But in my opinion, if you already have that guy in Trae Young who's good with the ball, you should take those 4 first-round picks and go acquire someone that you know is going to fit much easier with Trae, as opposed to going to acquire another ball-dominant guard who maybe potentially they could work together, but it's not a bona fide fit by any means. If I was Trae Young, I would be studying Stephen Curry's game film all summer long. Steph's ability to move off the ball constantly is what makes Steph such an impossible cover. Trae will never be as good as a shooter as Steph, but he has the ability to shoot from anywhere. If Trae can learn to move off the ball like Steph does, it certainly will change the landscape of Atlanta's offense dramatically and will allow DeJounte to be more comfortable on the ball. For comparison's sake, 61% of Curry's 3-point makes are assisted, which is almost double the amount of Trae's. If Trae wants to take his game to the next level, in my opinion, that is a great place to start. DeJounte was their first major change when it comes to team building, but it didn't stop there. On February 22nd this past year, Nate McMillan was fired from his position as head coach. The team was sputtering all season long, and Nate just could not recapture the magic from that 2021 postseason run. And then just 4 days later, the Atlanta Hawks signed Quinn Snyder to a 5-year deal to become the Atlanta Hawks head coach. Since he has been coaching the team, the Hawks have gone 10-11. Still painfully middling and average. Quinn Snyder had a long history with Utah, coaching 8 seasons there and had a lot of success in the regular season, but was never able to unlock the full potential of that team in the postseason. In Quinn's tenure in Utah, the Jazz went to the playoffs in 6 of their 8 seasons, finishing with 50-plus wins on 3 separate occasions. But those Utah teams were never able to make it past the second round. I'm not quite sure if that was a Quinn Snyder thing, or maybe that team's personnel just reached its limitations. Obviously, as we all know, Donovan Mitchell is now in a battle with the New York Knicks as a Cavalier, and Rudy Gobert is down 0-3 to the Denver Nuggets as a member of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm really excited to see what Quinn Snyder can do with this backcourt pairing and Atlanta moving forward, regardless of the outcome of this particular playoff series. I must say, Trae, DeJounte, and Quinn have their work cut out for them this summer, because at this point, this is what they have. If they can figure some things out, they have a lot of potential to succeed down the line.